What's going on, people, and welcome to a brand new episode of Too Many Games and Not Enough Time. I am your host with the most, the one and only Mr. Midas. Now, in Too Many Games, I get to sit down with amazing creators from around the world and talk to them about our passion, gaming. Now, I did a point of call out on Twitter and said, who wants to come on the pod and talk to me about some games? Because I love to interact with people, even if I don't know them. We can talk games all day. And I've got a special someone for you today. Yes, he is a YouTuber and Twitch streamer. Yes, he's a kind of funny best friend. Yes, he's a community manager for 505 Games. Yes, he's Mr. 12-hour stream himself. And he's not scared to put on a cheerleader outfit to entertain you. King Jim, welcome to Too Many Games and Not Enough Time.
Thank you ever so much, mate. It's an absolute pleasure.
How you doing this evening?
I am going very well, thank you, mate. Lots of time off, lots of games. It's all good.
Cool. So we're gonna get straight into it. We're not even gonna play about. For anyone who's never heard of you, don't know what you do, isn't invested in your world, really quickly, how would you sum up yourself? And give me 2 games that mean something super special to you.
Wow. That's a tough one, but let's kind of kick it off then. So yeah, guys, my name is James. I play PlayStation, I hunt trophies, and I shout quite loudly at a telly, semi-professionally, of course. And the 2 best games that really mean something to me, I've got to just throw it off the bat. 2018's God of War is an absolute perfection, and well, enough said that about that, the better. And in terms of my next, I would certainly put Bioshock Infinite as in that category as well. Mate, that was the game that got me back into video gaming and into the world of it. So yeah, they really mean a lot to me.
Do you know what? Let's go straight into that, because it's funny that you say that, because Bioshock Infinite is kind of known as the bad stepchild, the child that nobody speaks about. But it's actually my first Bioshock game ever. So I've never played anything prior to that. So I think Bioshock Infinite is incredible. I hate the ending. I thought it was a bit...
Oh, okay.
I thought the ending was a bit convoluted, but I was told you had to play the DLC for it to really stick with you. But I love it. I'm not even really the shooter guy. Like, I don't mind shooters, but I'm not really the FPS guy. I'm much more third person kind of action adventure, but there's a few story shooters that really grab me, and that was one of them. And Far Cry 3 is another story shooter that really grabbed me. So what is it about Infinite that you really loved?
Mate, you and me both are cut from the same cloth. Bioshock Infinite was my first Bioshock game as well. And like I said, it was the first game that really got me back into gaming. I was kind of a bit of a casual around that time. I really wasn't playing that wider range of games, usually kind of the CODs, the odd Tomb Raider at that time. But I'd heard a lot of good things about Infinite. And as I kind of chugged along with it, similar to you, I really enjoyed the combat. I thought it was really fast-paced. I thought the characters were amazing. Unlike you, I kind of really enjoyed the ending and the story and everything that kind of encapsulated with it. And it was the first game, like I said, that made that a light bulb went on. My jaw dropped, and I was like, wait, what? Okay, this is freaking awesome. What is actually happening now? And I need to explore more. So obviously I went back into the DLCs, went into 1 and 2, and just went down a massive rabbit hole of that, and then understanding that, damn, I love narrative in video games and that interactivity of it. So honestly, that story absolutely nailed it, and it will forever have a place in my heart.
Yeah, I think we're not even going to get into God of War because we'll be here all day talking about that. We don't have enough time on the podcast, but 100%. Like, I weren't even crazy about the old God of War games. I thought they were okay, but they didn't really connect with me in that world. But the new God of War, boy.
It's just what I want.
It's just, it's just everything. So we're both PlayStation guys. Like we love those consoles. Now, I'm assuming I'm gonna know your answer, but just for the people, then, what is it? What's the reason why Sony games really connect with you?
Kind of following on from the Bioshock kind of thing, it was that narrative experience that I really enjoyed, and granted, around that time I had been primarily a bit of an Xbox kind of player, so I actually missed out on The Last of Us, missed out on kind of the original God of Wars and kind of stuff like that because they weren't on my radar. But then kind of realizing, and around that time, a lot of my friend circles were talking about Last of Us and Naughty Dog and Uncharted. So I was like, oh, okay, well, these are the kind of games I want to play. PlayStation, right? Okay, fantastic. Right, I'll get myself a PlayStation 4 from day one, got from there, and I have just been hooked. Narrative, action adventures are my jam. I love, I play games for a narrative point of view. I love stories in games. I find them very interactive. And let's be bluntly honest here, Sony knock it out the park every single time. Sure, they've had a little few swings and a misses.
I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there. Days Gone didn't knock it out of the park.
You're right. You're right.
Not with that one, but yeah, carry on.
You're right. There was a little bit of a swing and a miss with Days Gone, but there was still something there that kind of that had that narrative feel for it. I just think it kind of came out at the wrong time, and it had a bit of it was stuck in dev hell, let's be fair. But again, it still had that narrative focus, and it was something that really drew me into pretty much anything that Sony has done. So yeah, I've been a PlayStation fan pretty much since then, and I've kind of started to build the brand King Jim around that around Sony. So yeah, mate, I love video games. That's just all it comes down to.
It's funny because I was answering some questions in for a news article that I'm doing for a magazine, and they were like, kind of like, why do you love gaming? And the things that kept on standing out to me is, we always say stories, but it's not even just about the story. It's being lost in that world, like really feeling like you are in that world. And that's something video games do that no other medium can do. That you can go to the cinema and you can watch Marvel Avengers and you'll be like, oh my God, Iron Man's sick, but you don't feel like Iron Man. And it's so weird that video games work in such a strong way that sometimes it works to the detriment of developers. For example, with Naughty Dog, like, I think The Last of Us is one of the greatest games ever made, like ever. Sure. And it means so much to me and I love it. And I love Last of Us 2. I think Last of Us 2 is such an important game and it's changed gaming. I didn't even think you could feel emotions from that. But because people felt like they were Joel, because playing a video game makes you feel like that character, it made people hate The Last of Us 2 because they didn't feel like that's what Joel would do.
I think that's what I'm saying. It's pushing narrative. It's the only entertainment medium that you are making those decisions. You're pushing that character forward. You're making, regardless of whether or not it's a decision-based game like Detroit or something like that. You are pushing forward as that character, and you're going through those motions as that person. You're not sat there watching it or reading about someone's experience. You are you are moving this character. I'm 1,000% with you. And one thing I do love about Naughty Dog is they are there to tell their story. It's not necessarily you're kind of a character and you're going to be that hero figure. Similar to you, I loved part 2. I think it was absolutely wonderful. I was not expecting that go back, that kind of like, not so much twist, but you know what I mean. No spoilers, of course, but I was not expecting that flip, which made me then fall in love more with the said character than someone else. And I think because of the fact that movies are obviously like a couple of hours, whilst video games are mainly written over the 8 to 10 to 12 hour campaigns, and people like me and you will literally kind of jump in that world and consume it all within a couple of days or weeks or whatever it happens to be. I think that we certainly get a lot more invested, and I do think that video games does get a bit of a bad rep in terms of like other mediums. But mate, like, Video games are where it's at. I keep saying this, and I genuinely mean it. It's the best way to tell stories.
100%. Now, I need you to move your head for a second, because I see the SpiderMan PS4 in the back, the Pro, looking super splendid, and I'm hella jealous on that one. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story. A few years ago, got to go to E3, like the mecca of gaming. I'm walking around. The Sony booth is terrible. There's hardly anything there, but there is a Spider-Man, a huge Spider-Man thing. And I went there and I played it. And I'll be honest with you, Spider-Man for me isn't the best PlayStation 4 game.
That's fair. Okay.
But I have not had that much fun playing a game since I was a kid. Like Insomniac just done something incredible. Like you feel like Spider-Man. Like the way, like swinging around New York is so fun. Like, and it's mad because when you play video games, like obviously we have fun while we're playing video games, but when you think of proper, oh my goodness, I'm having fun, you think of Nintendo, you think of Mario Kart, you think of stuff like that, Splatoon. That's the kind of things when you're like, oh, I'm having fun. When you're playing a PlayStation game, you're like, I'm an adult, I'm just enjoying the experience. But Spider-Man swinging around New York was so fun. Like, how did it feel for you the first time you played that game?
Again, moving back to what we mentioned about the sticks, like you are that character, and actually the movement in what Insomniac did with Spider-Man is just second to none. They admittedly said they spent a good few years making sure that was right, doing it and even transferring it on to how to Miles Morales now on the PlayStation 5 and using that DualSense. Like, if you want to ever feel what it's like to be as part of a video game, that or just actually knowing that your movements, your button presses are being interacted and engaged with on the screen, that is perfect. And I'm kind of with you. I think Spider-Man, personally, I think Spider-Man was a great game. But I do feel as though they absolutely nailed that movement. And Insomniac have just moved just up that bar for me. And of course, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is kind of added that bar onto again. So, mate, I cannot wait for the next Spider-Man installment. I really can't.
No, don't get twisted. I love Spider-Man. I'm just saying it's not... If I had to
it wasn't Last of Us.
If I had to pick my top 3 PlayStation games ever, it wouldn't be in there. But in my top 5, easily. Wow. Okay, top 3, go. So it wouldn't be. So top 3 off the top of my head, I'd have to think about it. What would be The Last of Us? Sure. Would be Uncharted 3. So I preferred Uncharted 2 over 3, and then when I replayed it 2 years ago on the Legacy Collection, I realized 3 is actually better than 2.
Yes.
And then I'm sitting in between, probably God of War, just on the top of my head. That would probably be my top 3 PlayStation games of all time. But one of my favorite games ever is not even a first party game, which is The Witcher.
And mate, we're not all Sony ponies here. It's fine.
Yeah. So we're talking about PlayStation. We are now in a new generation. But one of the things, and you've mentioned it before I even got to speak about it, that I feel which is the most next gen for me so far is the DualSense controller. Like, the DualSense is incredible. Like, it's just such a good controller. And you said about like the 3 things that have really stood out for me that give me that next gen feel, not even necessarily on a graphical level, but just give me that next gen feel, has been Returnal. Returnal just felt so next gen for me. Obviously Ratchet and Clank and the Astro demo. Yeah, like those really connected with me. And it's funny that how much just rumble and the adaptive triggers and stuff like that can do so much. Like, I always say I say to people, the DualSense feels like a grown-up Nintendo controller.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm really am with you. The controller has really upped the bar in terms of what video games can feel like now. And I feel as though the DualSense people are sleeping on the DualSense. And if you're watching this, listening to this, do not sleep on this thing. It is, honest to God, and excuse the pun, it's full on next gen. It really is.
Super dope. All right, so let's talk a little bit about you, a bit more about you before I let you go. So before we came on, we was discussing how COVID's basically affected both of us. And
Sure.
like I said, you're a community manager for 505, but because of COVID, you was at home and you really kind of got your foot back into streaming and kind of enjoying that again. Like, tell us a bit about that, just briefly about getting back into streaming, why you love it so much, and how your community is building and how you interact with them.
Of course, yeah. So you're absolutely right. We, I think last year had, so throughout kind of COVID, 2020 was a big setback to a lot of people, and certainly a lot of creative people. Prior to COVID, and just prior to just normal kind of things, I was a civil servant in the UK. And unfortunately, I was kind of housebound then, and I didn't actually have any work to do. I wasn't able to kind of have access to my computers, my systems, nothing like that. So, and I've been kind of in and out with streaming for a while. Ever since I went into blog writing, I really wanted to get back into being creative, and I decided to bite the bullet. I thought, you know what, stuff it. I've got a PlayStation, I've got a camera. Let's play some games. And I ended up kind of streaming Control, and kind of from there, again, it was on my couch. So sofa, PS4 camera, the PlayStation Pro, and I just started to play Control. I feel as though I've got quite I'd like to say a friendly personality. I don't know, whatever. But that has started to kind of, my friends got involved and their friends then got involved. And this past March, I've been officially streaming semi-professionally for a whole year. This is my full year of the whole new rebrand of this. And since then, the community has really grown to just a lot of really nice people. Like you said, we are both kind of funny best friends, and the support that I've had from them has been absolutely second to none. But people like you and MC Fixer and obviously Greg and Tim, etc., have really inspired me to up my game. And it wasn't that long ago that I decided, to shoot my shot and applied for the role at 505. So this is a whole new chapter in my career, really. I will still be streaming. I really enjoy it. And I just want to talk and play video games all day. That's all I want to do.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Congratulations, man. Really, congratulations.
Thanks, man.
It's really hard to just go out there and go for your goals and kind of put yourself out there. Like it's not an easy thing. So I congratulate you. I don't have a hat on right now. If I did, I'd take my hat off to you. And I just wish you all the best and all the success and keep on doing great things. And where can the people find you?
Thanks, man. So obviously I am King Jim pretty much anywhere, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Replace the I's with the number 1. And you can find me on Twitch every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday from 7 p.m. Twitch.tv/King Jim Plays.
Super dope. He's been King Jim. I've been Mr. Midas. You've been the MVPs. And we're out of here. Peace.